All right, welcome back for another awesome episode of the Fit 40 podcast. We got 3 topics on deck for today. We got GLP-1 mimicking supplements. We got a client highlight from one of my newer clients who is just seeing amazing progress really, really fast. And I figured I'd share some of the stuff she's doing so you can copy it and get the same not the same results, but get really good results just from following the basic stuff that she's mastering really fast. And then last but not least is how to improve your tracking, because a lot of people aren't really doing it right, and then they get a really negative relationship with tracking. So I figured let's hammer out some basic things that people get wrong. And then from that point, maybe you'll be able to see the results that you finally want to see because you're tracking correctly now. So let's start with the first thing. But actually, let me catch that. Before we do, all I ask is that if at any point you do hear something that you're like, damn, this is good, and one of my friends or family members needs to hear it, give it a quick pause, send it their way. Because we want to get the good information out there, because there is so much crap info out there right now. We got to do our best to combat it. So anyway, back to the GLP-1s. So first, let's talk about these GLP-1 mimicking supplements. So what are they? Basically, when it comes to these supplements, they are the things that have been around forever, the things that people have tried marketing as appetite suppressants, that they've tried selling in fat burners, and now they're just tagging along to the GLP-1 train of basically the success that people are seeing with Wegovy, with Ozempic, with semaglutide, with Zepbound, with all this other stuff, Mounjaro. And they're like, hey, everybody recognizes this, so we're going to slap a label on what we do and say it basically is the exact same thing when it is not. And it honestly should be illegal, because you cannot claim the results of a pharmaceutical drug when all you're putting in your thing is like some Garcinia Gambosia, or you're saying that your fiber supplement basically does the exact same thing. It's not, because it's just not at the same intensity level. And that's the real kicker, is like when it comes down to dosage and response, is these mimicking supplements do not create the same intensity level. Like basically, if we were to compare the two, the GLP-1 drugs, the actual pharmaceutical drugs, are at like a 10 out of 10 level as far as diet suppression and improving things like blood sugar and all this other stuff. And it is right up there as far as like the top of the top. And these mimicking supplements are like a 1 out of 10, but they're like, it's the same thing. And all these people are getting caught up in it, and they're buying it and saying, oh, this should do the job. And it usually does for the first couple of days, or maybe even weeks, maybe even months. And then it just doesn't work the same. And people are like, what gives? So the first thing to really realize is that placebo effect is very powerful. Like when we're talking placebo effect, basically your belief in this product, your belief in the fact that you will see results plays a huge role. Your confidence is a gigantic indicator. And they've done these things, like if you look up, I forget the exact name of it, botched surgeries, or basically it was to prove the placebo effect. So for certain surgeries that were not life-saving, they were just minor things like people with these injuries that needed surgical intervention. What they would do is one group of people, they would go in, do their thing, stitch them up. Second group of people, they would open them up, do absolutely nothing, stitch them back up. And what they saw is very similar recovery rates as far as this specific surgery, because people were literally just believing the fact that they got surgery and their body responded the exact same way. So it's like, I almost don't want to tell people that GLP-1 mimicking drugs are not worth it, because there will be some people that buy this stuff and they believe it so wholeheartedly that it works for them, but it won't last forever. And then it's going to be like, well, what gives? So it's kind of like I'm preventing the rug being pulled out from under you. Now, the things that do come of this that are beneficial are, number one, like a bigger emphasis on things like protein and fiber, because that's a lot of what you see around this conversation is improving. I bet you've seen it on TikTok and Instagram, these like GLP-1 breakfasts or oat Zempic. It's like people are basically telling you eat more protein and fiber because it's going to mimic a GLP-1 drug. Will it do that? No, but it will make you feel more full. So this could be really good for those types of people that are unsure if they should take GLP-1 drug who are like, I don't know if I really fall into this category of like where obesity is a disease for me. Like I don't have this crazy level of food noise, or maybe I do, and it's not not that big of a deal. And you're kind of in this middle ground, and you haven't had a conversation with your doctor yet to figure out if it's right for you. But what you could do is give this stuff a try, like oat Zempic or these protein-packed GLP-1 meals or whatever, and see, does me eating more protein and fiber reduce my cravings? Does it allow me to keep my calories in check? Does it let me reach my goals without having to dish out hundreds of dollars for these medications? And if so, just roll with it. Like do that instead if you are able to see success with that method. So this could potentially save you hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I just wouldn't get the supplements, like the things in pill form or powders and things like that, because they're just going to be overpriced garbage. But when you see these trends like oat Zempic or these protein packed things, try that stuff out. Like sure, have oatmeal in the morning, because contrary to what you see on social media, it's not the devil. It's not going to cause some crazy insulin spike that's going to make you fat. It's going to be a lot of fiber, which is going to help you pass the certain things like stool a little bit faster, and it's going to be more comfortable. You're going to have more energy throughout the day. You're probably going to have more energy between breakfast and lunch. And assuming you don't just make it like a dessert to start the day, it will set you up for eating less calories throughout the day. So there can be a lot of benefit in that. And it could be in a good addition to, like, let's say you do have a conversation with your provider and you're like, listen, I'm going to go on this drug because I think it will really benefit me and it makes sense for my health situation. Okay, do that along with this style of eating, like higher protein, higher fiber, and give both a go, because they should complement each other. They should allow you to feel feel more full on less calories. So there's no harm in, when we're talking about eating food to complement these GLP-1 drugs, those should be the types of food that you prioritize, because if you ever have any hope of coming off of them, if you've ever listened to the podcast episode with me and Dr. Gerbino, these are those skills that you need to learn to keep the weight off for good when it comes to these GLP-1 drugs. Is you need to have protein and fibrous options in your diet, so that way you're not eating a bunch of empty calories that leave you feeling really drained throughout the day. Instead, you get more nutrient dense options like these that are going to have you feeling better, that are going to complement your workouts. And when you work out consistently, that also increases your chance of keeping your results long term. So it all kind of works together. So if anything, take the food suggestions and implement them and try them out and see if they work really, really well. Might save you money. And if you do jump on the drugs, it's probably a really good compliment. I just wouldn't go for the supplements because they're probably just overpriced garbage. All right, so that's my 2 cents on the GLP-1 supplements and everything that's out there right now. So let's move on to the second topic, which is my client Shannon. She is absolutely crushing it right now. Like basically seven days out of 7 on her habits for the first couple of weeks, and just doing really, really well. And during this check-in, which we do every single week, there's a weekly check-in every Monday. And I ask, what is a win that you have had that is not related to the mirror, that is not related to the scale? And she told me, I bought a skirt before all this and it was a little tight on me, and now it's a little bit loose on me. And basically, that's like a size swing in a very little amount of time. And a lot of people see these crazy testimonials like this with other programs, and they're like, oh my God, what did they do? What did they do? I'm just going to tell you flat out what it probably is and how you can benefit from using certain techniques like this. All right. So first and foremost, it most likely could be due to inflammation going down if somehow there was an irritant being removed from her diet. Because when we do what's called the PFC method, protein, fiber, color, basically my way of helping you create your plate and understand what exactly we should be getting at each meal to feel our best. When you do that, it gets rid of a lot of options, like any diet really does. When it has some sort of specific guidelines, it gets rid of these foods that have a laundry list of ingredients, which is not inherently a bad thing, but if one of those things on that ingredient list is an irritant to you, then that could potentially set you up to be inflamed, to have joint pain, to have all this stuff going on. So as soon as you remove it, boom, inches come off. All right, could be that. Could also be the fact that when you improve your amount of fiber, your digestion gets better. So you have less backup, you have less sitting in your gut because it's all being pushed through and you're going to the bathroom easier and you're holding on to less water because there's less actual byproduct in your guts, basically pulling water in while it's there, which makes you feel inflamed and bloated. So you get a little fiber, everything gets pushed through, and you're not holding as much weight or as much mass of any kind in that area. And all of a sudden, boom, you feel good. And on top of that, when you go to the bathroom well and consistently, you just feel lighter. You feel like you are not holding on to this giant weight in your midsection, and you feel better. You feel more energized throughout the day. So that would also lead into point number 3, which is movement. Okay, this could very well be a very quick hit of a body recomp, which can happen for certain people depending on their training history, depending on their nutritional habits leading into this, where if they get everything going in the right direction, their body responds really well and says, okay, we're going to shift things around here. And then they are dropping body fat, building muscle, and their body feels and looks totally different. And that can happen very, very fast for some people, like that initial hit. So that could also be another thing as well. And then also movement on top of that. Just when you are active a lot of the time, it helps with doing, like, basically when you sweat, it can get rid of a lot of the sodium in your body. That's why we want to replenish that. But you hold on to less water weight. Along with that, if you are drinking a good amount of water, the more water you drink, the less your body holds on to because it knows there's more coming in. So that could also be playing a role as well. So it could be water, could be everything, who knows? But if you're listening and you're like, I want to experience that, okay, first, make sure that you're eating mostly those foods that we should be eating. All right, those single ingredient or very few ingredient ones, just so you reduce the chances of potentially ingesting an irritant in your body. Okay, it's not toxic. It's not that this food is like horrible and it's going to kill you like you see all over social media. That's all bullshit. Okay, at the end of the day, some things our bodies just don't tolerate well, and it could be regional. Like there's certain areas of the world that don't tolerate certain foods well because that's just ancestrally how they've been growing up. So like more times than not, when you get back to those foods that your ancestors grew up with, sometimes that can potentially like have you feeling better. Like there's a lot of Irish people like myself that don't tolerate gluten well because it grew up on potatoes, like stuff like that. But I'm not saying that's a catch-all. I'm not saying it applies to everybody, but it's worth trying. You never really know until you try. And if you feel better doing it, stick with it. And then your body will likely respond really, really well like it did for Shannon. So give it a go. Let me know how it works. And then last but not least, let's talk about tracking, because tracking gets a bad rap. It really, really does. Because when people track, they do it on their own and they really don't know the common pitfalls. They don't understand what their day should look like. It's just, here's the number, hit it. And you're just like, well, shit, how do I actually do this? Okay. So here's a step-by-step approach to figure out exactly what you should do to set yourself up for success and not feel super frustrated with the whole experience. All right. First thing you want to do before you even set a calorie number is have some sort of a structure, have some sort of a rhythm that you're in throughout the day. That could be three solid meals with a couple of snacks. It could be 4 meals, no snacks. It could be 2 meals, 3 snacks, whatever. Just something that you can stick to 7 days a week. That includes the weekends, all right? Because it's very possible that you will feel extra hungry if your weekend eating looks a lot different from your weekly eating. So if you have 3 meals throughout the week and then you like intermittent fast on the weekend and you feel like you go bonkers late at night because you're so hungry, that could be why. And then on top of that, adding in the stuff that we know is going to have you feeling your best and feeling full and nourished. And that I prefer doing the PFC system. I like doing protein, fiber, color because that's a really good foundation. And it puts most people in a situation where they can control for calories, feel really good, and see the success that they want with recomping their body. And then after you've done that and you're in a good groove and you're like, okay, I have my meals. They all have really good quality food. Then add in the calories and say, you know what? Okay, I'm eating healthy. This is where I catch a lot of people when they come to me with questions. They're like, I'm eating super healthy, but nothing's happening. And I'm like, okay, that's good. We got box 1 checked. You're eating good quality food. Now we go into the calories and we say, okay, what exactly do you need on a daily basis? And most people eat way more than they actually need. So from that point, you set yourself a good calorie target. I like teaching people to do their basal metabolic rate and then give themselves 200 calories because most people, when they first start tracking, they go way over where they think. So it's always good to lowball it in the beginning. And then if you do find that you are eating too little and you're losing weight really fast, and that, what I say really fast, I usually like to keep the metric of if you're losing more than 1% of your body weight per week, that's a good sign to add calories in. And if weight loss is your goal, that's kind of the situation we all want to be in, where it's like, we're losing too fast, got to add more in, not, oh, I'm still stuck, let's take more away. So that's why I like that range of calories the best, because you never really want to go under your basal metabolic rate. And if you have to, then there's other factors that need to be touched up, usually activity, usually quality of food choices and things like that. And those are worth getting into. And that's really where coaching comes in. But regardless, on to the next thing. After that, once you have your calories down, then it can really help to establish a protein and fiber goal. So you already are getting protein and fiber at your meals. Now it's like, okay, what does the daily look like? So that would come down to, for protein, I really like a gram per pound of lean body mass. And like in the Fit 40 program, we have a body comp calculator where you can find out your lean body mass based on your metrics, based on your weight, your inches and stuff. And then we just go, okay, gram per pound of that. And we could do it that way. And then when it comes to fiber, usually like 10 to 15 grams per 1,000 calories is the way to go. But for most people, that ends up being around 25 to 35 grams of fiber. So trying to get within that range can be very, very helpful. And if you can do that for long enough, you'll get the results that you want. And then eventually you might most people will hit a plateau where they have to go into a different phase where they might have to jump into maintenance, do a little bit of a reverse diet, then jump right back in. And that's just the way our body works. Sometimes we got to do it in phases. But to get that initial like 10 to 20 pounds, that's really how you have to go about it. And that's why, like right now, this is going out, Wednesday, December 11th. Okay. This is basically the way I formulated the group coaching model for Fit 40. I'm calling it nutrition mastery. So if you want to just walk through this step by step and have the support along the way from weekly calls with the group in Zoom and having text access to me and having the full curriculum along with it, so there's like a pretty much 100% guarantee you will get this down if you put the work in, then it's here for you. But I'm only offering it for my birthday special. So this is going to be December 12th and 13th. So if you're listening to this after the fact, sorry, got to get your butt in the Facebook group so you see all this stuff, because I announced it to them last week. But if you want to get in on this and get it for the lowest price it's ever going to be, okay, this is going to be $99. And when it goes out January 1st, when I officially roll it out, it's going to be $150 per month. But if you want to get in on that beginner, like that intro price of $99 a month, and do it and knock it out in 3 months, learn everything you need to learn, then definitely take advantage when the birthday special rolls out. But you're not going to see it unless you're in the Facebook group and or on the email list. So get your butt on both of those ideally, but at least the Facebook group. All right, get your butt in there and take advantage of it. And if you have any questions, always feel free to reach out. And because you guys are an amazing audience, I'm actually going to do you one better. As I'm saying this, I'm like, you know what? The podcast listeners are the freaking best. I love the Fit 40 family as well. You guys are all incredible, but the podcast listeners really take it to that next level of listening and digesting all of this information and getting better. So I'm going to give you guys a day head start. Okay, I'll put the link down below. You guys can get first dibs. Click away, get it now, and get started on your 12 weeks to learn everything you need to learn to get that first like 10 to 20 pounds off the right way, sustainably, in an evidence-based way. All right, so that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I will see you all Friday for the next episode of the Fit 40 podcast. But until then, go kick some ass. I'll see you later.